You are in for a real treat. This episode was originally recorded for my other podcast, but for you, it's been upgraded and transformed, and now you have the Ask the Pro show. So everything mentioned in this episode will now be found on chrisdufay.com, plus so much more, as I've designed the Ask the Pro podcast and chrisdufay.com to give you exactly what you need to grow your business success and for you to have the money, the freedom, and the happiness you want, making a bigger and better impact to the world unselfishly. So now it's time to delve straight into this episode, and I want you to lap up and enjoy every single second of it. Mr. Russell Brunson, thank you so much for taking your time and coming onto the Turning Pro Academy podcast. I'm very pumped that we've finally gotten this time together. There was no way this wasn't going to happen this time around, and I'm really excited for you to be able to start delving into and giving the audience exactly what they need and kind of delving into what a sales funnel should really look like. And obviously, you being the man of this, you're the Mr. Miyagi of this stuff. So I'm pretty happy for you to be here right now. But before we start jumping into everything, I just want to say thank you, Russell, for being here, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and yeah, I'm glad we finally had a chance to reconnect. And I love talking about this stuff, so I enjoy it. And thanks for having me on as well.
All right, so we can geek out on this. There's no problem about that. Now, maybe even before we start going into this, for anyone that has been a bit under a rock, doesn't know who Russell Brunson is, Russell, who are you and why are you so phenomenal?
Well, it's always kind of weird talking about yourself, but no, I've been doing this business now for about 12 years. People tell me I look like I'm 11 years old, but I've actually been doing this for over 12 years. And it's just, I got into this back when I just met my wife. I had proposed to her. I wanted to get married, but I woke up one day realizing I'm completely broke and I didn't have a job and I didn't have anything. And I was at the time going to school and I was wrestling and I didn't really have the ability to get a job unless I wanted to give up these other things I was doing. And so I was like, I got to figure out how to make money. And for me, there's a lot of things out there, right? There's real estate and there were all these things, but the internet was like what kind of was calling me. I'm like, I got to figure out how to make money online. And so I jumped on, I started watching what all these people were doing and just became obsessed with it. And I started watching people and studying them. And I would model what they were doing. Like there were guys like Armin Morin, who's one of my first mentors. And I used to watch him like create product after product and launch these things and make all this money. And so I started just modeling and making products look similar to his. And I started, buying his things. And I would look at the process and I would model it. And that's what we did for the next 10 years was modeling really good sales processes and making our own. And, later we started calling that funnel hacking. We got a bunch of people now that call it funnel hacking, but we would just look what people are doing. Then we model it and make our own versions. And that's what we did for the last 10 years. And, done that in tons of businesses. We've had supplement companies, we've had fitness companies, we've had dating companies, we've had all sorts of stuff that we've kind of built up and launched. And about 2 years ago, we really started focusing not just on doing our own sales funnels, but how can we help other people with sales funnels? And we had an idea about 2 years ago to develop a tool that would give people the ability to make funnels really easily. And we spent over $1 million and over a year building out a tool that now people know as ClickFunnels. And it's been the fastest growing thing that I've ever been involved with. And in the first year, we got over 10,000 active entrepreneurs building their entire businesses on it. And it's just been amazing. So that's kind of, I'm just a geek who loves sales funnels. And now we've built a tool that makes it easy for people to do it. And it's so much fun to wake up every day and just talk about and think about these kind of things.
All right, this is awesome. And just so I've used ClickFunnels a few times. And I do think it actually is a really awesome tool that you've created. I can tell that you have done it before because from all the other tools that I've tried to use before, then when you come to ClickFunnels, hang on, it's all here.
This makes sense.
Yeah, someone's actually thought about this. Like it doesn't have missing links all the way through. So I completely appreciate that. Now, why do you think ClickFunnels is so successful and is so useful for the business owner, for the marketer, for whoever needs to jump in and actually start using this?
Yeah, well, a couple things. Like when we first built this, I think one reason why it stands apart from everything else, especially in our industry, is it wasn't like, usually it's like an entrepreneur's got an idea, then you hire a bunch of Indians and Romanians and Filipinos to build this thing, and they don't understand the business, right? Like they're just following directions. Where my partners, one lives in Atlanta, one lives in Toronto, and these guys they were running businesses just like mine for as long as I have, and they're obsessed with it as I am, and they happen to be amazing marketers, but also the most amazing developers I've ever met. So they're building like what me and them would want, like our dream things that we like wish we had, like they're building them. And so so, and one of my partners, he's the user interface guy. Like he sits there, he'll spend a week like looking at a button, trying to figure out like, does this button make sense here? Should we move it over here? Should we change the text? Like he's so obsessed with that, but it comes through and it makes sense. But I think the reason why I think that it's grown so fast and people have loved it is, for me, for the last 10 years that I was doing this, and when I wanted to create a sales funnel, it was me having an idea, sketching it out, giving it to a designer, then designs it. Then I give it to a programmer who slices it and makes it work. And then I give it to, and it's all these people in the process, right? And then if I wanted to change something, I messaged the designer. He'd move it over here and he'd put it in the wrong spot. So move it somewhere else and put it in the wrong spot. We go back and forth and finally he'd have it in the right spot. But like in the process of him moving it, he screwed up the order for him. Now all the orders were failing. And it was like, this is like the world that us entrepreneurs like grew up in. And it was so frustrating. And so in ClickFunnels, when my partner started building it, the running joke the entire time was, if we can build something so simple that Russell can just do it by himself, then we've succeeded. So that was like their goal, right? And so they did the whole thing, and then they gave it to me. Like, hey, Russell, I want you to do something. I'm like, well, how does it work? Like, we don't want to tell you. We want you just to use it, and we're going to record you using it so that we can just see like if it makes sense or not. And I started playing with it, and really quickly, it took me maybe 15, 20 minutes to get it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I have total freedom now. If I want to move an image, I just drag it and I move it. If I want to create something, I can just, it's so logical and so simple that it really like, it takes out the need for tech guys or designers or programmers or anything. And it gives you as the entrepreneur who knows what they want, it gives you the ability just to do it. And it's funny, like we used to take about 2 months on average to launch a sales funnel. And right now, on average, it takes us less than a day to complete an entire thing. And that's by myself without any other techie nerds helping. And it's amazing. I think that's why people love it so much.
Okay, this is phenomenal. We can obviously talk about it all day about ClickFunnels because it is so useful. And it is obviously, what I love about it is it's scratching your own itch. And that's why the success of it, I think, is just going to go from leap to leap. The other thing that I kind of like that you brought up before, especially how you got about into this and where I see you doing so well, is kind of like a part of your secret sauce, let's call it, is you were modeling success from your mentors, from everyone that you're reading, from everyone you're soaking into now. And now it's kind of the other way around. Now you're the Mr. Miyagi, and now we've got to replicate that because you're the Mr. Miyagi, because you're in the position where you can tweak the process, you can change, you can test, you can do all of these things. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, Russell runs his funnel like this. So if I don't run it like this, I'm a bit of a peanut. And that's like, at least you know a starting point to work from. So let's even go, what is a sales funnel and why is it so powerful? Like, let's go for the person listening right now that might not completely understand, and then let's really start delving into one.
Yeah. So whenever I explain a sales funnel, I explain to my friends who don't know what businesses are at all. And hopefully it'll help break it down really simple. But 10 years ago, we had websites, right? And everyone's like, you guys need a website. And everyone was like, well, I don't know if my business needs a website. And they're kind of in this weird spot, right? Today, 10 years later, we all know we need websites. But I had a website 10 years ago. And I would go to like Google, for example, and I would spend, I'd spend like $1 per click on a Google ad, right? And they go to my little website and then percentage of people would buy. And on average, if I put $1 in advertising in, I might make $1.50 or $2 or $3 back. And it just worked. It was like arbitrage, right? I spend $1 on Google, make $3 on my website. And I go back and forth and it was just awesome. And then a whole bunch of knuckleheads went out there and screwed it up for all of us and started telling everyone that you can make money on the internet. And so everyone's like, really? And so everyone started coming in. And what happened is that first off, other people started doing the same thing. And so you got to start having competition. But then when competition starts happening, then the ad networks like Google or Facebook or whatever, they start seeing that what they're doing is more valuable. So they start increasing their ad costs. And so what happens is all of a sudden, the same website where I was spending $1 and making $3 all day long, now I spend $1 and I make 50 cents. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't work very, like, this is the opposite of arbitrage. I'm not making any money, right? And that was like the world that we came into 8 or 9 years ago. And luckily for me and for all of us today, there were some pioneers out there, some brilliant people who were like, well, we can't give up. We got to figure out a way to make this. And so they started doing different things. And I've heard 3 or 4 people claim that they invented the squeeze page. I don't know who did, but someone invented a squeeze page, right? So you have a squeeze page first. They give you their email address. Then you take them to your website. Now you have the ability to follow up with them. And suddenly, like, we were able to make more money. And then, like, again, that got harder. So then we started saying, well, what else can we do? And someone added an upsell and then a downsell. And then all these different pieces that we add to our websites on the front of it and the back of it that give us the ability to gather leads and follow up with them. And if they're interested in a product, upsell them something else. And suddenly we started creating, moving away from flat static websites to sales funnels. And that's kind of what a sales funnel is. It's it's kind of like the evolution of a website. It's where it's the next level. And people today always ask me, Russell, well, do I need a sales funnel? I'm like, well, do you need a website? And like, yeah. And this is like the next evolution. This is where, in 2 or 3 years from now, no one will call it a website. It'll be a sales funnel. And so we're just kind of at the very beginning of that right now. But that's definitely the future and where everything's going.
Okay, beautiful. So let's use, for example, a personal trainer. How would a really simple sales funnel in your eyes be for a trainer going from someone landing on their site to coming on board as a client? What could a couple of those simple steps be?
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in a split with so much more for you. Now, I know you're listening and tuning in because you know how important your health is and how this can also catapult your business. This is why I'm very happy to say that this podcast is sponsored by My Body Blends and my favorite, the Superfood Elixir, the powerful greens drink. Now, this is designed specially to boost energy, aids detoxification, enhances the ability to burn fat, supports healthy carbohydrate metabolism, and best of all, is voted best tasting greens drink. Now, myself and the My Body Blends team are looking for ambassadors to join, so you and your clients get the health benefits plus adding in a strong income stream for you and your business. The ambassador program, which is by application only, means you get exclusive access to sell My Body Blends products like Superfood Elixir to your clients, plus giving you the special ambassador pricing and bonuses. So once you become an ambassador, you can join other top health and fitness players that are adding thousands to their week's income. Now, there is only a limited number of ambassadors we are taking on board, as this is a tribe leading the way together. So to apply and to join, go to mybodyblend.com/ambassador or add the checkout code that is TurningPro, all one word, when you're going to get your own Superfood Elixir to order. Plus, you're going to get free shipping and a bonus to save yourself over $250 instantly. So just use that coupon code TurningPro in the checkout and you can save over $250 right now, all on mybodyblend.com.
What I might do if I was doing one for a trainer, like I might have my first page be something like a quiz and saying, hey, maybe it's this is off the top of my head, so it's going to be horrible. But let's just say it's let's find out how much weight is possible for you to take this quiz to find out how much weight you can safely lose before New Year's following our 3-step system, right? So they come in like, okay, I'm a man. They take this little quiz. I'm a man. I'm over 32. I weigh 200 pounds. I'm at 18% body, whatever. They put in a little quiz, and then pops out a little video saying, congratulations, based on all the metrics you gave us, the best quiz for you, or the best weight loss plan for you to, or excuse me, the best, safely in the next 3 weeks before New Year's, you could safely lose 13 pounds following this plan right here. If you want more information in this plan, put your email address in. Put the email address and click submit. Boom, takes to the next page in the funnel, which would have a video sales letter saying, okay, this is the get ripped fast before New Year's plan. Normally sells for $97. We're going to give you a really good deal where you can get the whole entire work plan for just $7 today. So someone comes to that page, they pay $7, and the upsell's like, hey, cool. So you paid for the plan at $7. It's giving you everything you need to lose 21 pounds the next, or 13 pounds in the next 3 weeks. But a lot of people that, their goal is not just to lose weight, it's also to have more energy, more focus, and more whatever. So we got this really cool program we sell for $197 that'll give you everything you need to be able to get more energy, more fitness, and actually not just lose weight, but gain strength and get rid of your bad breath or whatever for $197. Click here to buy that. And so now see how we've evolved this from like just this one little thing to there's a quiz, to an opt-in, to a video, to an upsell. Now we got kind of a 4-step funnel there that will get us clients that are qualified, and then we could potentially call them on the phone and sell them a higher end coaching package or consulting or whatever on the back. So that's just kind of an idea off the top of my head.
Okay, beautiful. It's funny, not funny, because on one of my fitness sites, it's really similar. As in, like, it goes from quiz, you go through 3 different steps of the quiz. Here's the best option, and they'll take you through from there. So obviously, follow what Russell says. Don't be a peanut. That's the name of the game here. Now, what I think maybe we could delve in before, say, I'd love to delve into more of a more advanced sales funnel, say the supplement funnel that you're so known well for as well. I think a lot of people would like to see that side of the business as well. Maybe even before going down that, you said like the upsell, and I think this is a really important concept where a lot of people are missing is obviously so much of your profits can be made on the back end. So initially looking at what needs to be done for customer acquisition, and then how do you actually increase your profits once that happens. Can you delve into that a little bit more for the listener?
Yeah, so I can kind of walk you through what we did when we launched our first supplement funnel, because it was kind of a really fun process and it didn't make money at first. And so we had a chance to test a bunch of different things. My first step, I was looking at like, I'm a big fan of like, let's just don't reinvent the wheel. Let's find someone that's had something successful and we'll model it. So I found a whole bunch of these supplements that were like free plus shipping type supplements. And so we just kind of modeled them. Like we made a free plus shipping and put people on a continuity program for ours. And that was my initial test since we launched it. And it did okay. We were selling a bunch of the free bottles and put them into continuity. But the problem is it was taking us on average like 3 months before we broke even. And that really stressed me out because I hate like spending $1 and then 3 months later getting your dollar back, because it's like you're a bank, right? And you're hoping that someday people don't cancel and all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of stressful. And so I was looking at that and I'm like, man, like how do these people do it? And so then when I said, I'm actually going to buy one of their products so I can see what else happens after this upsell. So and when I bought the product, and then they had some upsells and some things. And so I looked at them, okay, well, I need another product. Like I don't have really an upsell. So we went and created a second product, and it was like, our first product was like a nerve supplement, and their upsell was this nerve cream. And I think I sold like, if the upsell, buy a bottle of nerve cream for $37, whatever. So we launched that new version, and it started doing all right. It didn't do great. Like we still weren't breaking even. And for me, like I'm a big fan of, I want all my funnels to break even at point of sale. Like at least, like I want to make sure that if someone buys, like I'm back to profit within the first sale. I don't want to have to like wait it's 14 days or so. For some people like that, like the funnel there was right. Like if you were comfortable waiting 14 to 45 days, it was doing that. But it just, me personally, stressed me out. And I'm like, there's got to be a different way to do this. And so I was looking around and I found this other guy. His name's Ed O'Keefe, and he's just a brilliant marketer. And he had this supplement called Marine D3. And I talked to him, and he said that they had done like 40 or $50 million with the supplement, some crazy number. And so I went back to his site. I'm like, I gotta see what he's doing. And so I went to the page and I saw he had a video sales letter. And what's interesting is he sold his way different than mine. Like I was selling a trial, and he was selling like you could buy 1 bottle, 3 bottles, or 4 bottles, something like that. And he had different prices. And I said, okay, like this is like all the supplement stuff I had seems all trial based, but he was doing something different. So I'm okay. So I wanted to see like what else he was doing. So I bought the product. And I still remember the very first thing is after I bought the product, he upsold me 6 more bottles of the exact same thing I just bought. And I was like, why would he do that? Like, does he think I'm a drug addict? Like, I just bought 3 bottles of his pills. I don't want 6 more bottles. And so I said no to that offer. And I saw the next 2 pages, he had some other offer, some other complimentary supplement. So I was like, first I thought he was crazy. And I'm like, you know what? Like I talked to him. He's a smart dude. He's probably tested this. And so I went back to our funnel. I said, I'm going to just make a new version that models what he did. And so we did a video sales letter just like he had. And I did 1, 3, and 4 bottles like he did. And I copied the same price points. And then I made my upsell 6 more bottles, defying all logic, but I did that. And then I moved my skin creams to the second upsell. And then he had like I think a 3 bottle upsell, and they said no, it downsold 1. So I did the same thing. I had 3 bottle upsell, and they said no, they downsold 1. And that became the new funnel to test. We tested that versus the free plus shipping funnel. And what was interesting is the free plus shipping funnel, again, it took me, I think when we stopped running that, it was about 45 days to break even. So they get a free 14-day trial, 14 days later, they get billed, and 30 days later, they get billed. And that's when we were breaking even. Yeah. The very first test we did on this other funnel that we kind of modeled Ed's, I remember we sent an email out to some, we buy a lot of like Republican news site lists. So it was like Newsmax or something like that. And we bought the ad that morning. I remember it went out, and I got to the office late that day. I had a dentist appointment or something. So I got there maybe at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I walked in, and my guy on my team who buys the email ads, he's like, dude, we're at break even. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, we're at break even. I'm like, it's been like 2 hours. He's like, I know, we're at break even. It's 2 hours into the campaign. Like, this is gonna be amazing. I'm like, are you serious? And kept watching that whole day. Like we were sitting there. It was like the most exciting thing ever. Like we're ringing the bell every time a sale comes through, and we're going crazy. And by the time we left that office that day, we had tripled over. So let's say we spent $3,000. We had made $9,000 in that time. And I was like, this is so much better to make money up front than having to wait 45 days to get your money back. And so like that was like, it was off to the races. And so we started going out there and buying ads and doing all sorts of stuff. And then we obviously did a lot of things to tweak the funnel, but that's kind of how it took off. And then we started looking at the metrics. It was interesting because we sold 1, 3, or 4 bottles. We had the 6 bottle upsell and then the second supplement. But if you looked at like the metric that we look at in the supplement world was average cart value. So for every single person who buys a supplement, like on average, how much money do you make per customer, if that makes sense? And so I think we were averaging initially about $180 for every for every buyer is how much we average, how much they spend. And we started looking at the ad costs, and we were spending, $60 to $70 to acquire a buyer.
That's phenomenal.
And so you look at that, it's just arbitrage, right? Like, how much more money can we spend over here? And that became the game when we played for the next, year and a half or so. And there's a whole bunch of sub stories I could tell you about, running out of inventory, running out of 3 months worth of inventory in a weekend, and all a bunch of other crazy stuff that happened that I learned along the way. But that was basically just creating a funnel where you're profitable on the front end. And when you have that, like, it's game over. Like, you're getting customers, you're getting paid for every single customer that's added to your list. And when you have that, when it hits that number, that what looks like that, like, your business is infinitely scalable, and it becomes really, really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you think just from me more personally trying to geek out at the moment, but what do you think the actual psychological switch is from wanting to go to, hey, I just bought, here's 6 bottles. Like, what? And I know because I've watched your training on this, so I was like, 6 bottles, and it's just like, okay. And I'm not going to lie, that my own supplement business, that by the time this episode goes live, will be live, there's going to be a very similar funnel looking exactly like that. But kind of wrapping my own head, I'm like, am I an idiot? And I'm like, why sit? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, if you look at it is interesting because every other funnel in the world, selling more of the same thing is like the worst thing in the world, right?
Yes.
Like any of my info product funnels, yes. I have a book that teaches split testing. If I upsell more stuff on split testing, it bombs. And I think the reason why it typically fails is somebody buys a book on split testing or weight loss or whatever. As soon as they bought that, even if they don't have the product, like in their mind, you've scratched that itch, right? Oh, cool, I bought the product. I figured out a way. I'm losing weight is taken care of. Conversion is taken care of. And so the next thing is hey, here's more conversion stuff. They're like, I already solved that issue. I bought the product. That issue's been solved in my mind. And so those never convert. Info products, the best converting thing is what's the next thing, right? Yes. I bought this. What's the next thing I'm going to need? But with supplements, at least the way that we kind of structured it, that was interesting is you buy the supplement, right? And it's all about having the 1, 3, or 4, and you get a good discount. And the 6-bottle upsell, if you look at the per bottle price, it drops. So they may have just spent, if they bought 4 bottles, they might have just spent, let's say, $46 per bottle is what they actually spent. So they upsell and they get 6 bottles, it's dropping it. It's hey, now you're going to get these at $36 a bottle. So it makes this huge thing because if they know they're going to like it, they're going to keep wanting to have it.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of urgency and scarcity about that this may in the future price could go up or could go down or whatever it could do. And there's limited quantities, all these things. And right now you can lock in and get this huge discount at a huge, get this stuff right now while we have it available at this discount, and it works. And I think for me, the supplements we were selling was not a product that I was that interested in. And I'm a supplement junkie. I take more supplements per day than
you two. I don't like Skittles.
Yeah, I love them. And so the other day I was actually buying, I went through someone else's sales process, and they were selling this MCT oil, which was really good. And I bought it, and the upsell were MCT oil pills. And each pill only has hardly any MCT oil. They take 10 of these pills to equal 1 tablespoon, but it was travel pills. And they're this is a new product we're about to launch. And we may or may not make it public, but we were kind of this is the beta, and we want to see if you guys like it. If so, we may make it live. And if not, then we may not. And I remember looking at it, and I was like, crap, that I want that product bad. And if this is a beta and they may not have in the future, I want this because this is the cool way to consume when I travel. I hate carrying MCT oil when I travel because it leaks and it makes a big mess. But in pill format, it's amazing. So I bought 6 bottles right then. And then I went back to the sales funnel again, and I bought 6 more bottles because I wanted to make sure, they would offer me 30 bottles, I would have done it.
Yeah.
And so thinking you just have to think if it's a product you actually would love, it's a no-brainer if you position the offer right. And that one for me, my wife asked me today why we got, because it's funny, I came in today. She's like, why did you buy 12 bottles of MCT pills? I'm like, because I have no idea if these are ever going to be around again. I hope they will be, and they probably will be, but I can't be for sure. So I need to make sure I get this before this deal's gone. So yeah.
Okay, I completely am 100% exactly like you. I would have done the same thing. You just got way too crazy on that. Now, I think another thing you've brought up that I think the listener can really walk away with this episode is walking through somebody else's sales funnel. And I thought it was really hilarious. I geeked out one day. I actually put one of your trainings on a USB. I put the USB in the TV, and I was going to just sit down because I just hate watching videos, sitting there in my office. I was I'm just sit on the lounge, geek out for a little while. My wife was bashing her head against a brick wall going, why? What are you doing? Anyway. So I put this in, and you were walking through a sales funnel for an info product that was, I won't say the name or anything, but you found it on ClickBank, and then you walked through the entire thing. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious because it was actually one of the major competitors where I'm at. I'm like, okay, Russell's actually walking this through step by step for me. I was just like, praise the Lord. This can't get any better right now. Now, what are your insights for someone wanting to go to, okay, they know where they're at, they know what their competitors are doing, they know their competitors are doing much better than themselves right now. What can they really take away for what they should be looking for when going through somebody else's funnel?
Yeah. And I try to at least I always call it funnel hacking, but I try to funnel hack at least one person every day. Sometimes they're my market, sometimes they're not. But I think it's important just because everyone has different ideas and cool things they come up with that we can't think of on our own. Sometimes this can be, very similar and cookie cutter. We might not get a lot of value out of, but I like doing it because and I look really deep, like how did they, not just how they build their sales funnel, but what was their offer? Like what was the actual product and how they position it? And why would I want to buy this? And why are people buying this? And what are the deliverables? Like when I log in the membership, what does it look like? Is it, I want to see everything because you just never know like what you're going to pick up. People always ask me like when they're first starting, I want to create a product, but I don't know what to create. I'm like, well, go buy someone's product and see what they created and do something similar. I remember Joseph McClendon, he's one of Tony Robbins' main trainer. If you ever go to UPW, Tony Robbins speaks, and then Joseph speaks the off days. And I happened to be at an event where Joseph was an attendee, and I actually sold him. It was the coolest thing in the world. He bought the product, and then later, I was at UPW, and he invited me to come behind the stage and just talk to him, and we hung out, and we were talking, and it was so interesting because him and Tony and these guys they're huge in modeling. And he told me, he's like the very first time I tried internet marketing, he was like, I bought through, it was a product launch funnel. He's like, I can't remember who it was. He's like, it worked. And so he's like, I went back and he's like, I took every one of those videos in the product launch and I transcribed them. And like, this guy's video number 1 was 13 and a half minutes. So I made a video that was 13 and a half minutes. This guy's video number 2 was 26 minutes. I made mine 26. He's like, it worked. I didn't want to screw with it. He's like, I just followed it exactly as close as I could because it was a proven model. And I look at things the same way. Like if I'm going to the fitness space and I see someone I admire that I want to sell something similar, I'm going to buy their product. If they've got a 32-page ebook and 16 videos, I'm going to make a 32-page ebook and 16 videos. They'll be my own videos, each of my own thing. But they've proven that delivery mechanism, however they fulfilled on it, works. And so we shouldn't go try to reinvent the wheel. Like obviously you need to make your own content and your own stuff, but delivery is a big part of it too. Like what do people actually want? And when you can create the right thing, it's big. So I think that's the biggest thing is just if you're getting started, that's the path. And if you're advanced and you want to grow, like I'm looking at people all the time, like who are the big companies that are scaling big? Like I look a lot like Agora Publishing now. Like these guys are doing huge numbers. Like and their financial newsletters is completely different than what I'm doing, but I buy their stuff because they're just doing things at such a high level. Like what are they doing and why are they doing it? And what can I get from that I can plug back into the stuff that I'm trying to do?
It's so true. It's funny how you brought that up because I was going through, like, I did the exact same thing after you were saying it. And I was like, okay. So I went through, like, I don't live in the States. So I actually had to, I was buying from companies where I could only get stuff delivered to the States. So I was just like sending it to friends. It's like, hey, look, you're just going to get a bottle of this. Oh, just tell me what you think. But anyway,
throw it away.
Exactly. I was just like, whatever. And it was really interesting because I was going through some stuff and I was like, I had 0 follow-up from one of them and I thought they were going to crush it. And I was like, oh, that's really crap. There's nothing there. And another one had really bad customer service. And it was really interesting being able to go through all of this. And I was like, wow, this really makes sense. And it defines where you can do better in the marketplace. And also a great thing that I like what you're doing as well is looking outside of your own little bubble, your own little industry. What are the big players doing and how can you bring that into what you're doing as well? So that's top notch.
Yeah. I had a cool experience with that. So when we were first at our supplement funnel, someone had one of those free plus shipping, free acai berries or something. And so and they had a 2-step order form. So I filled out step number 1, then I didn't fill out step 2 because I'm like, I thought they were going to scam me, to be honest. I'm like, these guys, I just don't trust most of those guys, right? So I didn't fill out step number 2. And then 2 days later, I get a phone call from this guy and he's like, hey, Russell, I saw that you fill out, that you started the order process for the whatever offer. And, but you didn't finish it. I'd love to get on the phone with you and see if I can finish the order for you. Something must have come up. And I was like, holy cow. So I'm like, what's your name? He's like, I think his name is Kyle. I'm like, Kyle, this is going to sound really, really weird, but I need to talk to your boss. And he's like, why did I offend you? I'm like, no, because I've got a supplement offer just like this. I want your guys calling my people. And I'm like, I know you're in a call center. And I'm sure that you do this to a lot of people. I want you doing this for me. And he was like, hold on one second. Dude, and within 2 days, I had that company calling all of my partials and converting them into customers. And it was amazing. It's just that's awesome. A little thing. And then when I ordered Ed O'Keefe's product, I remember when the product showed up, it was in this box, and I opened the box, and had instructions on how to consume the product inside of it, and all these things. And then I started getting direct mail pieces in the mail that were having these bounce back offers for me to come back. And I was like, I'm funnel hacking the whole process. Like we got new boxes designed. We start sending out direct mail letter in the same queue that he was sending. Because like these things that they do, like they're not just made up. Like they're doing them for a reason, right? They're smart people that figure those things out.
Yes.
And man, you can shortcut so much of that by just modeling what people are doing. So anyway, it's kind of fun.
I think it's great. I think it's such a good takeaway that's come out of that. I did not know that was going to come from today's episode, was just that whole modeling success. And I'm such a big believer of it. Hence why I'm talking to you right now. So before I let you go, because we're smack bang on time, Russell, where can everyone get to know what you're doing, ClickFunnels, and everything else that you want to send them off to right now?
Yeah, I think the two best spots, I mean, I've got two core companies right now. We kind of sold off everything else. But number one is .comsecrets.com. And if you go there, you'll see my book, my training, those kind of things. And then if you want to see the software, go to clickfunnels.com and you can get a free 2-week trial and try it out for yourself. See how easy it is to move things around. But those are the two core places to go. And again, the .com secrets is the coaching, information, training side, and the ClickFunnels is the actual software side of our company now. And pretty much I give almost everything away for free. So if you guys want to learn to funnel hack me, you can find almost everything from those places.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to link that into the show notes so the listener can get straight there. Russell, mate, absolutely huge thank you for coming on. I really appreciate this. You've given a ton away, and I know the listeners are going to be able to put this straight into action. So that's what it's all about. So big high five for you, mate.
Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on and hope everyone got some value out of this and go make some funnels. You guys have some fun with it.
So now it's time for you to click on over to chrisdufay.com. That's chrisdufey.com to get all the guides and show notes. And if you are wanting the workshops where I walk you through how to build your online business, click on over to chrisdufay.com/start here. This is where I can give you the exact training guides and the workshops for exactly where you're at and the answers that you need. Now, every Friday I'm coming back to you with a new episode. So be sure to subscribe, and if you haven't already, you're going to be getting the world's best insights, the advice, and the answers to give you the business, the money, the freedom, and the success and happiness that you want. And I want to give you a huge muchas gracias for being here with me. And as always, get in touch with me via the site or via social, as Ask the Pro is about me giving you the answers that you need. So ask away.